I'm 33, married, and my kid is turning 1 year old very, very soon. And so I wanted to make a video on what I would tell to my 20-year-old self or to any single person out there who wants to be married, but maybe it's not the time for you yet. And there are really four things, and none of these things I feel like have been said by anyone else. So hopefully it will get you to think in ways that you haven't thought of before, and it will give you a new perspective on how to live your life. And so I think the first tip I would have for my 20-year-old self or myself in my 20s or when I'm single is to be more courageous. The 20s are definitely a time when a lot of the things that you do are actually low risk because you don't really have that much to lose. And so if you want to start that business, if you want to go traveling to see the world, if there's something that you just feel like you're being pulled towards, but you're afraid to take that step, take the step. I mean, don't go into debt, okay? Don't get me wrong. There are some things that are not worth going into. But what I'm saying is be courageous. Like if there's a girl you want to talk to the girl. If there's a girl you want to date, ask her out, right? Like if there are relationships you want to reconcile. If there's a business you want to start. And I think just the idea of not thinking too much about it, not sitting there and thinking about a pros and cons and doing a cost-benefit analysis and trying to like quantify the value and trying to like do the net present value. Just go, right? Just go for the experience. Go because you're voting towards the person you want to become, right? And so you're a person of action, right? Like that's the vote you're making is you are courageous, and when you have a good intentioned desire to carry out, you take action on that desire because you are a person of action and you're building the habit of being a person of action, which leads to my second tip, which is when we are in our 20s, when I was in my 20s at least, everything felt new. Everything gave me uncertainty. So on the positive side, it gave me excitement, right? Like coming to a new country, going to a new school, teaching for the very first time. Everything was new and I was excited about it, but it also gave me lots of uncertainty. And when I feel uncertain, I tend to prepare. I remember walking into my very first lesson in the classroom. You have 20 teenagers looking at you, and I had a script, right? Like the notes, the PowerPoint presentation, word for word script. I had like this would take 2 minutes, this would take 3 minutes, and I would look at my watch and be like, okay, 5 minutes is up, let's move on. Everything was perfect. And maybe that's what you need in the beginning if you want to do something. I'm not saying practice is bad, preparation is bad. But what I am saying is so many of us get paralyzed. There were so many times when I wanted to go on a vacation, but I didn't because I didn't feel like I could perfectly plan out my days to get my money's worth or to get my time's worth. There were so many different times when I was like, oh, I want to start a blog, I want to start a YouTube channel, start a business, but I didn't because I somehow couldn't figure out the perfect structure for a blog article or the perfect format for a YouTube video or the perfect way to start a business or the perfect business to start. There were times when I'm like, you know what, like this girl's cute, I'm gonna want to get to know her more. But there were so many times when I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's she gonna say, what's she gonna think? I don't feel like I'm the right person yet. I need to build up more equity in myself, you know what I mean? Like relational equity, emotional equity, financial equity, whatever, right? Just start. Come on. Start, then learn. My 20s was also a time when that was characterized by lots and lots of learning. I'm not saying learning is bad. I'm just saying You don't need to learn before you start. You start and then you learn. I think we've been conditioned, and I'm a part of the problem because I'm a teacher. I think we've been conditioned to learn and then do something, right? Like what do we know, right? We figure out what we have to know, figure out the new knowledge, and then with that new knowledge, we do something with it. But there's a difference between declarative knowledge, which is saying you know how to do something and describing how you do that thing, versus procedural knowledge, which is knowledge you gain from the trial and error, the mistakes from actually doing that thing. And it's prevalent in education as well, because there's a difference between listening to the teacher versus doing the problem. Just because you've listened perfectly to the teacher and you've taken down notes of everything that they've said and you're able to rehearse everything they say, does not mean when you look at a problem, you're able to solve it. Because one is procedural knowledge, one is declarative knowledge. In the real world, there are no teachers giving you a class and assigning you problems. If there's a goal you want to hit, you just start. Right? You don't need to search up how to do the perfect push-up before you do a push-up. No amount of reading about push-ups will get you to your goal of being fit. And no amount of reading business books and entrepreneurship books will help you start that business more than actually starting that business. And so I think at the end of the day, if you want to actually hit a goal, you have to start before you learn. And the next thing that I kind of want to go over is figure out what you want for yourself. Not what you think you want, not what your parents want for you, not what society wants for you, but what you want for yourself. The kind of life you want to live, the kind of people you want to help out, the kind of work that you want to do, kind of relationships you want to hold. Figure what you want. Figure out what you want. And a lot of that has to do with when I was in my 20s, I thought going abroad and teaching abroad would give me time to start that business, and I would be successful after 2 years and would go back and like show off to everyone and like drive a nice car. But 10 years in to my journey abroad, I realized that life is long, and what I want is just to be able to give the people I love the life they deserve. And there's no timeline that I want for that to happen. And obviously, if it happens sooner, great. But if it's a worthwhile goal, I should be okay with it taking a long time, right? And so part of that has to do with also figuring out who you are, not who you should be, but who you really are. For example, I'm a person that likes to help people. I'm a person that likes to guide people and offer advice and ask questions and answer some questions and give my own take on it. I am not someone that likes to sit there and look at data all day and do math and program. And some people really like that stuff. I'm also not a person that likes to be out and about and go on business trips and work for 80 hours for a $350,000 salary for the whole year and not take any vacations and give up my weekends. I like to spend time with my family. But, I didn't know that in my 20s. It wasn't until I actually got family that I figured out, wow, I actually really love these people. I want to spend a long time with them, as much time as possible with them. And if the business takes 15 years as a result to start and accomplish, then so be it, right? That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. So what's the sacrifice you are willing to make? Figuring that out and having clarity and self-awareness around that will help you live a more fulfilling and joyful life in your 30s. And so for you right now, I want you to just sit there quietly for 5 minutes and ask yourself these questions. What do I truly want? What kind of life do I want to live? Why do I want to live this kind of life? Who do I want to be? And what is the next step I should take to create that life, to be more courageous, to start before you learn anything about whatever you're starting. So like and subscribe. Or not. It's all right.